everybody, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a quick look at the Transformers Legacy Wave 2 Core Class G2 Megatron. The figure is of course a direct repaint of the version that we saw as part of the Kingdom toy line. However, for someone who has always really loved that mold, as well as just the G2 colorization in general, I actually think this is by far one of the better repaints that we've seen from the main line of Legacy so far. Now, considering he's a repaint, this should be a fairly straightforward review, so we'll get stuck straight here into the details. You can see the character has in fact been primarily cast out of green plastic, and I think it looks fantastic, super bold, and literally just screams G2. This guy really does look like a shrunken down version of his Gen Select Voyager counterpart. You can see where the paint apps are concerned for the face piece. I think these two have also turned out really nicely, slightly more muted in contrast to his Kingdom release, but still looking very, very awesome. I would have loved to have seen perhaps a slightly altered facial expression just to create some originality for this particular release, but still, definitely not a bad looking face at all. You can see where the torso plate is concerned. We've got some of that purple camo detail, which I think has turned out super impressive, as well as some orange and gunmetal bursts there for the torso region. You'll also notice that a few components have been cast out of purple, and once again, this literally is a direct copy of some of the color palette choices that we saw with their much larger Voyager counterpart. As we just take a look here down to the legs, you can see some really nice detail where those knee pads are concerned, as well as more of that purple camo detailing here for the shins. And overall, the sculpt work just in general isn't too bad for this character whatsoever. You can see we've got this massive purple arm cannon, which too has been sculpted very nicely. Some nice sculpt detailing going on there for the hands. As we spin our attention here to the back, of course, considering this is just a direct copy of the Kingdom release, he has a massive backpack, but for the price point as well as for the scale class, this is something that I'm easily able to excuse, as to be honest, even the Voyager counterpart didn't do a much better job than what we're seeing here. Now, in regards to accessories, he does include one, that being this green pistol. I personally would have much rather had this been cast out of purple, especially when we do get him transformed up in the tank mode, although you can in fact actually take this and alter the transformation, which in my opinion better matches how he appeared in G2. Now, as we spin our attention here to the back, you'll notice that we've got a few ports. Basically, you're just going to want to take this pistol, and as we raise this back section up, it will create that very awesome, almost G2 accurate over-the-shoulder cannon that this version of Megatron had. And in my opinion, this just looks so much cooler when in comparison to kind of the stock transformation, and really does create some originality between this kind of look and of course the original Kingdom offerings. I just bring that version in here for a comparison. Of course, here we've got the official transformation, and for me, the non-official almost fan mode just looks so much cooler, and once again really does make this scream G2 Megatron in my opinion. But both very awesome looking figures. I think the color scheme for both of them are fantastic. As you guys will recall, I was a huge fan of the almost gunmetal Netflix color interpretation that this particular core Megatron had, and I think the G2 color scheme also looks equally as good. Now, I won't bore you guys in regards to the actual articulation, but one thing I will mention is that the legs are super floppy and flimsy here, at least on my copy. They don't feel nowhere near as secure and tight as we got here on this release, so that is definitely something worth noting when taking him here out of the packaging. And for a few more additional comparisons, here we have the Voyager G2 version of Megatron, and you can see, as mentioned previously, it's literally like they've basically taken this mold, this type of color scheme, and shrunken it down to the core class scale. I really do think they've done a fantastic job in carrying it over. You can see the purple detailing as well as just kind of the overall paint apps from this Voyager have been recreated perfectly here on this smaller version, and if anything, I actually think the shade of green they've used on the core class is slightly more vibrant and slightly better when in comparison here to the Voyager release. And you can even see where the detailing of the shins are concerned, it's literally like a direct carbon copy. So personally, I think it's a fantastic looking repaint. For some additional comparisons, here we have G2 Megatron compared alongside Core Class Optimus Prime, and finally G2 Laser Leader Optimus Prime. Now, very quickly turning to the transformation for Core Megatron, to begin with, you'll want to take the pistol and just set that there off to the side. We can then take the fusion cannon and rotate this section here up to the top, and then this particular wrist joint will also rotate all the way around so that the front is now facing the back. You'll then want to rotate here at the waist joint, and then essentially this entire top canopy section will reverse all the way up and over the top of Megatron's head, much like the actual Siege Voyager counterpart. And then here at the back, you'll notice we've got some tabs and slots, so just rotate these shoulders around until these here do snap into place, and the same can also be said here for this side. Rotate this section around. However, in addition to tabbing this here into the actual forearm, you'll also want to peg this port into the side of the fusion cannon, which can be a little difficult to align up, but just snap that section there in first, and then collapse that there into place, and then come down here to the knees, disengage this section, and essentially this tab will now peg here into this slot, so that there will click very securely into place, and then you'll basically just want to hook the two halves of the tank over one another just like so. Rinse and repeat here for this side, so snap that there into place, snap that section in, and then for some finishing touches you'll want to bring back the pistol and just snap that there into the barrel of the cannon. And there we have G2 Core Megatron fully transformed up into what is actually a pretty decent looking tank mode. Now, as mentioned previously, this is exactly the same as the Kingdom Megatron, so it has all of the same flaws and pros that that original mold had, but this time with the new color scheme, I really do think the tank mode looks fantastic. You can see the purple camo detailing looks really awesome here along the side, especially here from the front. I really love the attention to detail as well as paintwork that we've got going on here. My only real critique with the tank mode would be, as mentioned in bot mode, I would have loved for the actual pistol to have been cast out of the same purple that we're seeing here for the fusion cannon, so that it would have looked like one coherent piece. As it stands, it definitely does stick out like a sore thumb in my opinion, and doesn't look nowhere near as good had this been in purple. But you can also see some really nice details, such as that G2 insignia, which once again is a decal, which is a direct carryover from that original Gen Select Voyager counterpart. Overall, definitely a pretty decent looking tank. It is more or less just kind of a dead weight though, however. There are no wheels here at the bottom, meaning that he basically is just a prop in this particular tank mode. And for a quick comparison, here we have him alongside the original Kingdom Wave 2 offering. So you can see literally identical in terms of molding. It really is just the colors of which differ. And sadly, this G2 Megatron kind of sits in a rather limbo in my collection, just as we don't actually have any other G2 core characters in the line so far. So he's not going to look great posed alongside the G1 Optimus Prime, Megatron, Soundwave, or Starscream. So I'm actually hoping we can see in the future perhaps a G2 version of Laser Optimus Prime. I think that almost semi-truck in the core class scale would look fantastic. And to be honest, if they were to go the lazy route, they could perhaps even take one of the live-action movie Legends class figures from way back in the day and just colorize it to match his G2 appearance. But definitely, I really like this repaint. As mentioned previously, I was already to begin with really happy with this mold, and so to get a repaint of which too I'm also a big fan of is definitely something that I personally am happy to see. I'd love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of this new G2 Megatron repaint. Is it one that you'll be adding to the collection, or will you in fact actually be waiting out until maybe we do get some additional G2 core class figures? As mentioned previously, there really isn't a place, at least in my collection, to display him in the collection. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this review. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.